Hello guys, today I'm going to show you how I sand and gesso my panels and canvases. Please subscribe to my channel here and find me on Facebook and Instagram. Here I'd like to explain what it means to gesso the panel. Usually most of the time you buy the panels that already have the ground on. It's white in color, and you can get different kinds of panels that have white, gray, or even some beige color as a gesso. So it's best to buy panels that have already had some gesso on. It's just so much easier to open the panel and just use it. But there are times when you make your own canvases and panels of a particular size, and or for instance you can buy a mezzanite board, and you need to cover it with gesso, so oil and acrylic paint attached to it. Okay, and for that you can basically buy gesso like this one, for instance. I recommend Gamblin. And don't buy the cheapest brands because they don't have enough thickness and it just doesn't work very well. Okay, and then I cover the panel 3 times, and usually I sand the surface after applying gesso. If the panel is small, you can just use sanding paper and do it freehand. But if canvas is very large, like you build the canvas for a particular project that is 36 by 48, for instance, it makes a lot more sense to buy the sander, the tool, to sand the surface very quickly. And it gives a very nice and even surface when you start sanding it. So I highly recommend buying the tool if you plan on building your own canvases and panels, and they're quite large. It just cuts on time spent sanding, and it's a lot more efficient. And as far as sanding papers go, you start sanding the surface with the sanding paper that could have 120. It's rougher. When you sand it and you're ready to apply another layer and it dries, you sand it with finer sanding paper. It could be 240. So the number here goes up as sandpaper becomes fine. And for this project, just for the sake of it, I'm using a rough sandpaper, and I'm gonna sand this surface to apply the gesso one more time. I usually go in circles to remove the raised surface and make it even, and I often touch it to see if it feels smooth enough or not, and I continue sanding until I feel like it's smooth. You can also wet it just a little bit, just have a tiny bit of water and add it here to sand it. But I usually don't use water, I just kind of sand it like so. It feels smooth to the touch, and now I'm ready to apply another layer of gesso. The advantage of using your own gesso is that the surface has like a high quality gesso and paint sticks to it. For instance, if you go to Michael's and buy their cheap canvases, they might be alright for acrylic painting, although I haven't tested them with acrylic paint, I don't know. But stay away from those canvases if you do oil painting, because oil doesn't quite stick to the surface of those panels, and it's just a waste of money, because you can easily scratch the surface and remove even year-old oil paint from those canvases. But when you use high-quality gesso, you create a much stronger surface to paint on, because the paint is going to stick to the surface very well. It's going to adhere to the surface very well. It gives you the longevity of work. It's also more resistant to the adversities that we might face. For instance, if room temperature and humidity change dramatically, it might affect your art. But when you use high quality materials, there are more chances of your art, remaining intact, nice and beautiful without any cracks and stuff like that. Of course, it depends how you apply oil paint, because there is a formula for paint application as well to preserve the paintings as much as possible. Gesso dries quite quickly. Like if you don't live in a humid environment, it's gonna dry very quickly, maybe in half an hour. It depends on the thickness of application. You can feel it to the touch. If it feels kind of cool, it means it needs to dry out a little bit more. But that's the process of applying gesso on your panel or canvas. And so I'm going to wait for half an hour till it dries. I know it's gonna dry out a lot sooner, but still. And then I'm gonna sand it one more time. It creates a very nice and durable surface, an even surface, to start painting over it. I like buying these birchwood Pro panels for my colored pencil work, and it's also very good for oil painting as well, if it can be covered with gesso. And these are smaller panels, and these are my colored pencil drawings done on DaVinci Pro panels. I absolutely love the surface, because it's smooth enough to apply colored pencil, yet it has some texture needed to adhere the colored pencil to. And also I like that it has these borders, and it looks very professional, very well done. So I like doing resin art using these panels as well. And that's how a large 24 by 36 panel looks like. It's very stable and durable, so it's a perfect surface for creation of various artworks. Thanks so much for watching. I'd appreciate it very much if you subscribe to my channel and share this or other videos with your friends on social media. Take care. Bye bye.